Well, there is no question in my mind that there is going to be substantial new regulation that comes out of this. I would see that the regulation is going to come in two, maybe three main areas. One area is that the mortgage markets, which were the origin of this crisis, are going to be much more regulated. And see, the problem in the mortgage markets was not, by and large, it was not with the banks, but it was with mortgage bankers, which were a largely unregulated piece of the market. Well, that is all going to be much more regulated. And then secondly, I think we're going to find a lot of regulation establishing much more transparency in the use of derivatives. And maybe derivatives will have to be a little bit more homogeneous and go through an exchange so where there is an accounting for them. Much as the same way in terms of the futures markets for corn and cattle. You know, if you take a position in the futures market, your position is really with the market. There may be some other side, but the market will make good if the counterparty doesn't make good. So that will probably be a part of the regulation. Thirdly, there is probably going to be some worry, some issues associated with this too big to fail and how to insulate the economy from very large institutions threatening to bring the whole economy down. But let me say this. It's always the nature that the generals fight the last war. And so we will produce a lot of regulations that will actually not fix anything. Well, we'll produce regulations, but the market itself will be self-correcting. We won't see the same kind of silly lending policies that produce the kind of mortgage problems that we've seen. The market itself has already fixed that. But there will be some new problem that comes out that nobody foresees and will produce some future credit crises. And so a lot of new regulation, but it will mostly all be for naught, and it won't prevent some future crises from occurring.
Dr. Miller, a comment and then a question. Comment being just to let you know that the community of Pepper Pike is very proud to have an economist of your renown, international renown, as one of our residents. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
You're very kind, Bruce.
In your remarks, you made some reference to the stimulus package and program. I think I understood you say some is helpful, and then there's some maybe not so helpful. If President Obama and Vice President Biden were to invite you into the office and say, okay, what should we do, what should we change, and concentrate on that part, what parts of the stimulus package would you keep that are truly helping the economy, and what should we get rid of, what would be your advice?
Right. Well, I did mention there are parts of the package that I, in particular, didn't like. First, let me make just a general observation. And if you were to characterize this $800 billion stimulus package, the largest ever conceived, would you characterize it as kind of soup and bread lines for the hungry, or would you characterize it as throwing a gala bash? Personally, I would put it in the category of throwing a gala bash. In a gala bash, you can employ a lot of people. You're going to buy a lot of food. You're going to buy liquor. You're going to buy musicians for the music. And so you will definitely employ a lot of people and have a good time. But what inevitably follows gala bashes? Hangovers. For some reason, everyone always gets this right. I think we have some party goers out here. Yes, that's the problem. The bills come due. That's the form of a hangover. So the first thing I would note right now is that there is evidence that this economy is approaching a turn. I mean, there's a couple of months ago I could have talked in theoretical reasons why the economy should bottom and begin to turn up, but now there's actually statistical things that I can point to and say, well, this has happened, and in the past, a recovery has followed within 0, 1, or 2 months. if the recovery is coming, then maybe we can pull back some of that $800 billion. Maybe all of that doesn't need to be spent. So right from the outset, I was always in favor of a smaller package that met basic human needs. Nobody should be hungry in America, and so we should have something to cover that and cover maybe extended unemployment. The other thing about the stimulus package, I think, there's stimulus, but maybe good stimulus. For instance, the interstate highway system, conceived in the mid-1950s. And built out over 3 decades. By the way, represented in today's inflation-adjusted terms about $800 billion. When you think of the massiveness of the interstate highway system, crisscrossing the country, north, south, east, west, crisscrossing northern Ohio, and how the massiveness of it, that's how big we're talking about in terms of this stimulus package, which is going to roll out over a little more than 2 years. In this stimulus package, there was only, by my accounting, only about $47 billion of the $800 billion. So if the public is going to get a good return for spending, I probably would have wanted more infrastructure in that. That's something that would produce a return, like the interstate highway system has produced a return, and now that return you can help pay off the cost of the system. So that's how I would have fashioned this stimulus package to meet very basic human needs, to have more infrastructure. I would have had probably some I would have some tax cuts in there, but basically smaller than the size.
Thank you. I have to put a little plug in for Ken. We had a get-together. I shared a glass of wine last October. I asked him, when do we think we might see a rebound in the stock market? It was pretty dire back in the fall of last year. And he said, I think in the spring we're going to have some glimmers of hope. So get ready then. I invested, and I'm happy I did. So I can make money off this guy. Today at the City Club of Cleveland Forum, we've been listening to Dr. Ken Mayland, economist and CEO of ClearView Economics. Thank you for addressing us, Dr. Mayland. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This forum is now adjourned.
For information on upcoming speakers or for podcasts of the City Club, go to cityclub.org.